Welcome to the City of Detroit's week-long kickoff of Black History Month. This week, we are showcasing all the ways Detroit has contributed to American excellence in music, literature, poetry, fashion, architecture, dance, and the culinary arts. Enjoy! We also are using this week to launch Undefeated, a year-long celebration of Detroit arts and culture, featuring monthly showcases of our creative genius. Visit DetroitArtsAndCulture.com for details. Hi, I'm Rochelle Riley, Director of Arts and Culture for the City of Detroit, and welcome to a new segment of our Undefeated series. We are celebrating arts and culture, and we are also celebrating Detroit's contributions to American excellence in every genre: dance, film, theater, literature, architecture, and comedy. And nobody can do that better than my friend Crystal P., who is in the house. I love her. We're going to talk about her story. We're going to talk about the comedy scene in Detroit, and she's going to give you a little bit of the funny, and I will too. So welcome, Crystal P.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
This is awesome.
Now, I want you to first of all tell people about your journey in comedy in Detroit. What has that been like?
It has been very interesting. Probably not like the typical journey that most comedians have taken. I think I took the comedy underground railroad, if you will. Most comedians, they go to clubs, start off at clubs, just watching, of course, observing, and then becoming MCs or opening acts, and then they move up to a feature and headline. And I kind of was a little on the backwards side. I saw a contest in LA for NBC for diversity. And I'm like, I'm diverse. I'm a woman, you know, I'm black, and I go out there to audition, and I had never done any stand-up, but in my head, you know, I'm Ricarda Pryor, and I go out there and I do this audition and getting on the stage at the Laugh Factory, which is one of the bigger stages in LA. I just felt something. You know how when you know something is your passion and you get that certain, I can't even describe the feeling. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so then I came home trying to figure out, well, how do you get connected to the clubs? And I remember prior to going to that audition, I was at Coco's House of Comedy, which is a club that's now closed here in Detroit. And remember seeing both John Witherspoon and Michael Collier on stage, and just that same feeling that I had in LA was the same feeling that I got sitting watching them on stage. Like, I know I can do this. This is what I want to do. And so I came back, and it was like I couldn't get in certain places.
Now, what was that like? Was that because it was Detroit, or because what was it like back then?
Well, you had your well-known, or as far as Detroit comedians went, all the established ones, your Foolish, your Cocos, your Mike Bonner, anybody who had crossed the stage on BET or Def Comedy Jam. Those were the established Detroit comedians. And then you had some who had them up under their wings, but I didn't know anybody. So it wasn't like I could, you know, somebody would grab hold of me. And I ended up meeting another comedian who's now deceased, because I do clean, what people refer to as clean comedy, because I don't curse on stage.
Amen.
And so she did clean comedy, and we kind of clicked, and she introduced me to the mainstream genre. Well, and if you don't know what mainstream is, that's usually like your white clubs, your urban, your non-urban clubs. And so they consider black clubs to be urban, which you would see in the city. And then so she introduced me to the mainstream market, and I started off at a club in Royal Oak outside of Detroit called Release Comedy Castle. But I was still trying to push the envelope in other areas, and then I even created my own stuff where I would perform in your backyard. I had a lot of clientele, like, hey, I'm throwing a birthday party. I would get those gigs. So it was, in essence, I was headlining my own shows even before I was really, you know.
Before you were headlining your own show?
Yeah.
Well, were you making a living at this, or did you have to do other things?
I still was working for the state,
Oh, so all this time you were working for the state?
Still work for the state. That was a blessing because with the state, every time you get paid, you get vacation, or they call annual leave and sick leave. And so I had built up a bank of annual leave. So whenever I wanted to go out, if I needed to do a gig on Friday, I would just use some of my annual time. So it's like I never missed a beat because most of your regular shows are typically on the weekend, or they might do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And if it was locally, I didn't have to take off work or go to work. I get off work, drive to the club. I was going to Ann Arbor. There's a club in Ann Arbor called Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase, which is about an hour outside of Detroit. At that time, we had a club in Dearborn. We had Joey's in Livonia, and they had a Joey's in Dearborn. So it was a lot of clubs. Several had closed, but there was still quite a few venues for us to work in.
And what do we have now?
Hello, I will be your comedian for the day. The only thing that's left is pretty much the mainstream market. The Comedy Castle in Royal Oak has been going strong for years, and then you go to Ann Arbor, but Joey's is gone, Chaplin's is gone, they were in Clinton Township. Just about everything, both on the urban side and the mainstream side, is gone.
Now, I talked to so many comics, and these were all black comics, who said that they all have to go out of town to make their money. And many of them have jobs here, but will go out of town. So that is literally the way that comedy is working.
Yeah, they'll go even Ohio, which of course Toledo is next door, so you have your Funny Bone. They used to have Laugh Connections, or Connections Comedy Club, which was in Lansing and Ohio, Toledo. Both of those are closed up. So people would go to Chicago, even Atlanta. People would drive a lot of places. Working in the mainstream market and driving all over, I was up in the thumb. I've appeared in 117 cities in Michigan.
Are there 117 cities in Michigan?
I have appeared in places that no blacks didn't even, that they didn't even know existed in the state.
But did they laugh?
Oh yeah, and that's what made it easier for me because, when you walk in the door and you're the only black face in there, especially I was in the Thumb in Caseville. I've been in Alba, Adrian. Now don't confuse Alba with Alma because most people know Alma. Alba is a little small town. They don't even have a full street light. They have one flashing red light that crosses over US 131. And went into this small little area, it's about 14, 17 miles west of Gaylord, and went there and had the best fun in the Green Lantern Bar. And I remember going to Sterling, and when they called me for the booking, I'm thinking like, Sterling Heights, oh yeah, I know it's there. And then I looked at the zip code, I'm like, this is not Sterling
Where is
Heights.
Sterling?
And I go on, searching, and it's near Standish and Pinconning, up about 3-4 hours up north.
That's
headed
not
up
far from
75.
it's far from Grand Rapids, but it's that way.
Yeah, so Grand Rapids is west, and this is going north. This is more north, so your Gaylords.
So if you're on your way to Grand Rapids and you get lost, you wind up that way.
No, wait, Grand Rapids is west of the state. This is like going
This is
towards
straight
your
north.
Sault Ste. Marie, not quite up that north, but
I know what you're talking
75.
about. Okay.
So going there, I'm on a 2-lane highway, the little bar sitting there, all the men are in their leather vests that are ripped at the sleeves, tattooed up, Harley Davidson, whole thing, and you walk in and it's like a record. And I've always dressed on stage.
Right.
One thing that I learned was you should always look better than your audience, because they're not paying to come see anybody, like that, unless that's your style of comedy. Right? If that's your style, then so be it. And so I walk in there in my little duds and stuff and the makeup and thinking I'm cute. And of course, it's not a black face for miles. And I get on stage and kind of just break the ice like, I know you all, like, where did she come from? And one lady was like, no, we get black people here all the time. I said, yeah, when they break out of prison down the street, because all the prisons were up there.
They're all there.
And so it was like, look at that prison, look at that prison, look at that prison. They would all, and so people kind of laugh, and it just kind of broke the ice. And I would still be able to do a lot of the jokes that I would do for the urban audience, and they just enjoyed it. I would even do gospel music right there in the bar.
And see, people don't think that music is funny.
Oh,
But
music can be funny.
You can find humor in everything. Like my favorite song, I was singing it for years before I realized it was like not what I thought it was. You know, my funny Valentine.
Okay.
Sweet comic Valentine. You make me smile.
Yes.
With your heart. Your looks are laughable.
Yes.
He's ugly, right? Unphotographable.
That means that we're not even taking a picture of you.
Yeah, you're my favorite work of art.
Yes.
Oh wait, there's more. Is your figure less than Greek?
I know mine is not. I'm more like,
Wait, there's more. Is your mouth a little weak? What is that about? What kind of man is this? When
keep
you
them upset.
open it to speak, are you smart? So if you asking somebody if they're smart, okay. So yeah, I sang that song for a long time. I said no, I don't want to sing that song for the person I was looking
that is
for.
hilarious.
But anyway, so talk to me a little bit about what, because you know this is my job, arts and culture, trying to make things work, trying to, you know, fill in where we used to have that we don't have. What does Detroit need for its comics to not have to go to LA, not have to go to Nashville, not have to go to Chicago or New York?
They need a dedicated comedy club. We have spots that have bars or even a jazz club, or Baker's, which is the oldest jazz club in the world. They have a night designated to comedy, but we need a designated comedy club, a place where people know that when they enter that building, they are coming to laugh. Not that it might be music night or it might be jazz night or it might, they know without a shadow of a doubt, I'm coming here for funny. Whether it be a Monday, a Saturday, or a Sunday, it is something comedy related, and we don't have a dedicated comedy club where the marquee says such and such comedy club. It's always so-and-so's bar, comedy night on Tuesday, such and such patio, comedy night on Monday. So there is no urban comedy club here in Detroit. You have to go, if the closest, like I said, Royal Oak or Ann Arbor, which is an hour away. So there's really not a lot for a comedian to work out, because how you work out is to get on stage, stage time, and
if you don't use it, you lose it.
You really do. You really do.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do for tonight, especially for Detroit Ace, because I believe in bringing people things that are different. We're going to turn this wonderful space, and I'm so thrilled. I'm on the board of the Charles H. Wright
Now,
Museum.
did you just say Ace Rochelle?
Yes, I did.
No, wait. Now, you know black folk, we immediately thinking somebody about to run to Boston and just be a I said, we done switched the whole job. But arts, culture, entertainment.
No, arts, culture, and entrepreneurship. But let me tell you, when I first got there, when the mayor hired me, I started out being arts, culture, and education, then arts, culture, and entertainment, then arts, culture, and entrepreneurship. He said, you're going to have any kind of E that'll get you money. I said, you got it. Arts, culture, and energy, you know, whatever
it takes.
But entrepreneurship was important to me because I need people to understand that artists are not doing this for hobbies. This is what they do for a living. We have to make sure they understand that, and we have to make sure to support that. But we are in the Voting Matters exhibit at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. We're not filming the thing. You've got to come and see it. We're going to make sure that people come and see this because it's important. And there's been humor through the civil rights movement. There's been humor, like who's your favorite comedian? Big.
That is living. I would have to say Cedric the Entertainer is one of my favorite.
I do like
living,
him.
and I love Paul Mooney.
I love Paul Mooney. I watch Cedric the Entertainer on The Neighborhood. I don't care whatever people say about television. I'm a television watcher and I like that show. Mine is Dave Chappelle.
Yes.
Now see, if we had money, you know, we would then flash a little something of said, or we'd flash a little something of Dave Chappelle. We ain't got that kind of money, so I'm just gonna pretend to light a cigarette and insult somebody beautifully so it looks like Dave Chappelle.
I'll wear a fedora and tilt it to the side.
But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are turning the Charles H. Wright Museum into a little comedy club, just to give you a sense of what we could have if we support our comics. Crystal P's gonna do a little bit, and I think we just saw Horace H.B. Sanders is out here, and then I'm actually gonna do a little bit. So yeah, that's gonna be something. So we'll be right back with you.
Ooh, I'm so glad to be here. We've been going through this pandemic time. I know it's been hard. It's been hard for me too. Some of us picked up some pandemic weight. Back in the day, this used to be a belly chain, and now it's a choker. Yes, indeed. I've been through some things. I know some of us, these relationships. I'm one of those people that suffered a relationship, yes, because my husband would discriminate against me. You know, he come telling me, well, I like a woman with junk in the trunk. I said, I can't help it. I'm built like a Porsche. My trunk is in the front. Not gonna discriminate against me. And things were just going all kinds of wrong for me. And I'm trying to get back in the dating scene now that he's gone. And the Lord began to speak to me, and he was like, we're lift bras and lift panties. And I'm like, Lord, what? We're lift bras and lift panties. And he kept telling me, this is biblical, lift bras and lift panties. But then I began to get into the word, and the word says that if I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. I'm just a panty away from my boo right now. I'm just a panty away from my boo. Things are going on in the world today. And I know with this pandemic, people have lost their jobs, but we still like to go to church. I've been loving going to church right now because it's been online, so I've been on time. Every Sunday, I do go to church as I am. Not like this, but as I am, you know, like Jesus in the manger, as I am. And I'm loving church. I'm loving church, but I did send a petition around my church to reduce tithes to 8% till I got back up on my feet. Amen, thank you. I see your hands. I think, because it's hard right now. It's hard. I've been delivered from a lot of stuff. And if you've never been delivered from something, you the one I've been delivered from. It's just things going on in the world. I'm old school and everything, and I'm trying to lose some weight, but y'all keep discriminating against plus size people. I tried to audition for a modeling show on Zoom and stuff, and then they sent this undernourished girl to interview me, and she come out, she started looking at me funny, so I asked, I said, is something wrong? Well, it says on your application that you were a 5'6". I said, a 5'6"? Oh no, that's 5 times 6. I wear a 30. But I take it you're not 162 pounds. I said, I take it you can't read. No, that ain't 162, that's 16 squared. I weigh 256. But these measurements, they couldn't be right. You couldn't be a 36, 24, 36. I said, oh yes I am. That's my thigh, knee, and ankle. So do I get the modeling job? Well, no, we're looking for models who are a little more in shape. I said, round is a shape. But we're looking for models with an hourglass figure. I said, look, sister, I'm built like a grandfather clock, but I keep good time, okay? You're not about to discriminate against me. I don't care where you go, discrimination is gonna be there. They even got discrimination in the Bible. Yes, they do. They got discrimination in the Bible. They have white books of the Bible, black books of the Bible. White books of the Bible, black books of the Bible. Turn to the white books. Mark, Luke, John, Ruth. Turn to the black books. Zechariah, Nehemiah, Hezekiah, Obadiah, Habakkuk. Now people want to argue about who is white in the Bible, who is black in the Bible. It does not matter because God loves us all the same. Yes, he does, but I suspect Eve was white. Ain't no sister gonna be in the garden around all them apples and she ain't made a pie, cobbler, turnover, or something. And you know that serpent could have been crawling through that apple. We'd have cut right around and used it. That's good fruit of the spirit, amen. Yes, indeed. But you know the dating game, it is hard. I have problems dating. My problem is old men trying to date me. And when I say old, he was so old he could remember when Pizza Hut was a tabernacle. And he got that hot breath, you know the kind you dry dishes with? And if it wasn't for a Bluetooth, he wouldn't have no teeth at all. But he all up on me in the club with that hot breath talking about some, how you doing? I said, I'm fine. Well, you know I'm the DJ. I said, not up in this club. Yeah, what would you like for me to play for you? I said, dead. Ain't nothing the old man can do for me but point to a younger one, like this young little tender behind the camera that y'all can't see him now. He's blessing my entire spirit right now. There's a special young anointing on there. Oh, I can smell the Similac behind his ears. Yes, but I gotta watch it because I know some of y'all, we got a few cougars out there, you know, the women that like to date the younger men. Oh no, it's a few saber-toothed tigers watching right now. But if you're gonna date a younger man, you should at least have a cutoff. I know I don't have no business with this little young cameraman because I'm more than twice his age. We don't have nothing in common and we can't hold a conversation. I'm talking about BMWs. He talking about the BUS. That's bus for y'all that can't spell. I see we got a public school spirit in here right now. I'm talking about IRAs. He talking about SATs. And we don't even get our mail the same way. I'm looking for my taxes and he looking for his grades. I said, baby, I need a man with a W-2, not a 2.0. Thank you all so much for having me. God bless you, Detroit. Come on, we're gonna get this comedy club open. Keep investing in Detroit comedy. Again, I'm Crystal P. God bless you all so much.
Hi, that was hilarious. I thank Crystal P. for doing that. And now we're bringing on another guest, an amazing person who really needs no introduction. Horace H.B. Sanders has been funny for a long time. And I want people to know that that is a part of this comedy landscape that we're exploring as a part of Detroit ACE's efforts to make sure we celebrate all the arts, and that includes comedy. So please welcome Horace H.B. Sanders.
Woo! Man, look, see, this is what I do it for. It's for the introductions, for the people you get to meet and work with. Thank you, Rochelle, Miss Rochelle Riley. Awesome. She's gonna be special. Got two R's in the name. You gotta stop for that, like the railroad tracks. You gotta pause. Everybody, just wait a minute. Rochelle is coming through. And y'all get up for my girl, Crystal P. Man, that is awesome. Like, y'all don't understand, we go through a little trepidation. I learn a new word every week, so that was my word for this week, trepidation. You know, if you drive a Chrysler Intrepid, you might have a little idea what I'm talking about. But because we gotta go up and perform after other comedians. Now, we love what we do, and we want them to be funny, but the funny they are, it's like, man, I gotta bring my A game now. You can't get through a C's in life, that ain't gonna work. And I'm so glad to be doing this here in historic Charles H. Wright African American Museum. We celebrating the city of Detroit. Look at this, voting matters. That's right. See, white people think about voting at election time. We think about voting all the time. Like we always, that come out, you get your name when you're born, and your grandma show up out of nowhere, be like, you better make sure you register to vote when you turn 18. I don't know where that went now. And people was trying to ask me this election, and they was like, who you gonna vote for? Because they were calling, they were polling. Like it was really a great effort done to canvass. I'd say I'm part of the Democratic Party, but on both parties. But they were really calling me, who you voting for? Who you voting for? Sometimes I would just send them the voicemail. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and talk to you. Who you voting for? I said, I'm gonna vote for the one that didn't catch COVID. How about that? The one that kept his mask on. Because Donald Trump was up there throwing insults and diseases at him. He was like, man, he was over there like the Matrix, like, you won't catch me. I'm gonna keep this little bit of hair I got left to be president. And see that? Look, you want to do something right. He made sure he went and picked a sister. See that? This Kamala Harris, first black vice president. That's right. And I know they say, you know, she got the Asian descent. She has, but she black. That's how we do. That's how we roll. It's inclusive. And that took me back, and then to see Barack and Michelle up there, President Obama, First Lady Michelle up there walking, like, man, they need their own theme music playing. And some people like to criticize, but I'm like, look, we gotta take a pause. I saw my dad, my father, who lived to be 91 years old. He was married to my mom 53 years. I saw him tear up 3 times in life. Once when my mom got sick, once when his mom passed, and when Barack won president. And I watched that. I was like, man. And it was so awesome. But I think back to when he first started, because sometimes we can take things for granted. Like even this black comedy we're doing, and bringing comedy to the city, being encompassing and building comedy in our city. We can take things for granted when it's around us. But I remember when he first announced he was running, he announced that he was like, I'm running for president. People couldn't even say his name right. They was like, Barack Hussein Obama, who is that? And then he won Iowa. And I was like, oh, you gotta pay attention, because it ain't but 2 black people in Iowa. So they was like, who is this dude? Because back then, it was a foregone conclusion. I learned foregone a month ago. Stay with me, people. And that they thought Hillary Clinton was gonna win. She was married to the former president, had 2 terms, everybody knew her. It was like she's gonna win. But then he started building after Iowa. And so we at the barbershop, and we kicking it. You ever have somebody say something real ignorant to you? Like, I shouldn't say ignorant, yeah, like real ignorant. Yeah, they say something real, I gotta stick with that, real ignorant. And he was like, man, I ain't gonna vote for him because, man, he ain't black enough. I was like, what do you mean he ain't black enough? Now, when somebody say something ignorant, I like to see what level it is, because there's different levels of ignorance out there. I said, what you mean he ain't black enough? He was like, cuz. Let me tell you right now, ain't nothing intelligent coming after the word cuz. He's like, cuz. His mama white. I was like, okay, yeah, his mama white, but his daddy is African. So let's break that down. I did good in biology and in math. He's got a brother behind the camera, cameraman, very astute brother. You know, he's regular black. You know what I'm saying? And y'all know math, regular black plus regular black equal regular black. That's his parents, was both regular black too. Regular black. Now, I was raised, like I said, by my dad, old school, I'm the youngest. So he taught us all how to wash our clothes when we was little, right? Everybody out there know how to wash their clothes, right? I ain't talking about the automatic washers now when you got the buttons and they talk to you and make noises. You got the front loaders. I'm talking about a washing machine. Even had to do some stuff by hand. And you had something called soap powder. They didn't call it detergent, soap powder. Get that soap powder. You get a big old box for like $4 or $5. You can share some with the neighbors on your street 4 or 11 times, you still got a lot left. You can knock it over and still have a lot left over because they just gave it out huge amounts. Then when they first came along with the liquid to try to get people to adjust to this new thing, they would give this big old container of liquid detergent for like $4 or $5. But nowadays, if you go to Target, Walmart, Family Dollar, anywhere, it's a little bitty container of liquid. And it costs about $19 or $20 for this little bitty container. It's more than gas. Now, what do they put on the front of that bottle to justify this price increase? That's right, concentrated. That's right. And Barack's daddy is concentrated black. And when you take concentrated black with white, that's regular black. That's our cameraman. Man, we gotta know the math, people. Man, I'm so glad to be here. And then now it's a new year, so Merry New Year. I want to say that to everybody. I say it all year. I'm here. I'm gonna keep saying it till the next one comes. But people are, a little bit trepid now about this vaccine. Now black people historically, we've had some different kinds of experiences with different medical professions and vaccines and tests. So I get that, but we got to be wise because some work, some don't. But people are asking, you gonna take that COVID-19 vaccine? You gonna take it? You gonna take it? I was like, no, I ain't taking that vaccine. And it's not because of my fear of the government or fear of the man or what they're gonna do to us. It's just, this is 21. That new COVID about to drop. It's like the iPhone, when you get to 12 or 13 coming out. So I'm trying to wait, save my money up, right? You be standing in line, got 2 shots, now the new COVID out. Now what you gonna do? You gotta get back in line all over again. Oh, it's funny to me. You better learn how to enjoy yourself. You hear me? Because if you can't enjoy yourself, what hope do we have? That's too much pressure. Now I got to enjoy myself and you for you. No, go ahead. That's too much. That's a double. I ain't doing that. But I'm glad to be here and people out here working. If you got a job that you enjoy, take advantage of that. If you got a job you don't enjoy, but it's paying you, take advantage of that too. You ain't got to stay there, but I'm tired of all these attitudes people got. And it seems like these masks, now you should be a little happier. You got to learn to look at it differently. People complaining, we got to wear a mask. You got to wear a mask. You don't complain on Halloween when you was a kid, did you? You know what I'm saying? We wore masks. Man, come on, you got to learn to look at it in a different perspective. Wash your hands, give some distance, and mask. But that's why I'm not racist. I ain't even being prejudiced, but that's why I think a lot of white people had a problem with the social distancing. Because black people know white people tend to invade their space anyway. You ever talk with a white person? Don't let them get to drinking. They get to drinking, they having fun with you and relaxing. They will be like your third skin. Like, so Horace, what you thinking about doing next? I was like, could you back up a little bit? Could you give me a little space? So social distancing means taking some space back, you know what I mean? Washing your hands, which you should know how to do anyway. But what about a little kindness? I'm tired of all these people with an attitude as soon as you speak to them. You gotta use the drive-thru now, pulling up in that drive. Been to the drive-thru lately? Anybody? It's a whole different experience. Now you pull up there, man. My thing is, why do you have an attitude with me as soon as I pull up? Like, at least let me do something to offend you first. It's like they got the attitude locked and ready. Welcome to Wendy's, may I take your order? And that ain't the worst one though, Wendy's. KFC. So they try to get slick now. It used to be Kentucky Fried Chicken. Then they tried to short it to an acronym, KFC. We know that's still Kentucky Fried Chicken. And they still do the same dumb stuff too. I drove past one the other day over on Livernois. If you're not from Detroit, Google it. This joke will be funny to you. I'm riding down Livernois, it's KFC. If they had the sign up, it's supposed to say, now hiring closers. But the C had fell off. I'll wait for the people to think about that. Now hiring losers? Man, what made it more funny was there's a whole line of people too, like, finally. I told you. Won't he do it? Man. And then, you ever wait in line at KFC? Like, you wait in line, you wait your 10, 12 minutes. You're like, oh man, how long it's gonna be? You trying to not complain because you are in a car, you know, listening to music while you're waiting on food that you ain't gotta cook. But you're like, man, it's taking a while. But you wait 15, 20 minutes to get up there and they say something dumb like, can I take your order? Yeah, let me get that 5-piece meal or 6-piece meal. Oh, we ain't got no more chicken. Well, close down then. Or change your sign to Kentucky Fried Sides. Because y'all ain't got no chicken. It's ridiculous. You think we was at the house waiting on y'all biscuits? Y'all play too much. And then one time I pull up, it's so messed up, the people that work there don't speak to you. It's a recording. They came up with this technology and this innovation at the corporate headquarters. So I pull up and it messed me up because the girl on the recording, she sounded good. She was all smooth and sexy. She was like, hi, welcome to KFC. Would you like to try our new 8-piece meal original recipe, which includes biscuits, gravy, quit playing, coleslaw and mashed potatoes for the low, low price of just $11.99. No thank you. All right, Gary, go ahead with your order. That's some chicken you can keep. That's the devil. Man, and then I pull up at the light next to his brother in his truck. Now, man, if you got an SUV, you got a truck, handle your business. But some of y'all take that leaning thing too far. I pull up next to a Navigator. I was like, he opened up the back door talking about, hey man, you know what time it is? That's some chicken you can keep. That's the devil. And Crystal was talking about being single. It's hard for the single brothers out here too. Fellas, you ever do this if you're single? You drive, you pull up at the light next to a girl on her ride, nice car, looking good. You get ready to holler at her, and then her man sit up in the passenger seat. You be like, hey, what's up, sexy? Could you tell me how to get to the Charles H. Wright? What's up, bro? Ooh, tell him to sit up next time. I'm still at the red light with him. Don't look, don't look. Play with the radio. And you start getting scared and nervous. I don't care what your faith or religion is, you'll start calling on God. You'll quote any scriptures you know. And if you run out of scriptures, you'll start saying anything that sounds religious. You'll be like, woo, the Lord is my shepherd. Woo, my shepherd is the Lord. Woo, Lord, I need a German shepherd. Woo, Jesus wept. Holy Bible, Merry Christmas, King James. Sunday. Won't he do it? Oh. So hopefully, if you're out there watching this, you're laughing already. You're enjoying yourself. That's a big point of life. Babies come here pooping, eating, crying, and laughing. See, that's one of the 4 food groups or something like that. It's an important quadrant in your life. You need laughter in your life. Think about it. The people you like is because they make you laugh. You enjoy them, or you make them laugh. They like to be around you. So if you're in a relationship or marriage, things ain't going well, probably ain't laughing together well. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes a marriage can mess up, because I'm divorced. Sometimes a marriage can mess up because you invite the wrong person to the wedding. You know what I mean? Inviting the wrong person to your wedding, start things off wrong, and it might not make it. It's like we invited the wrong person to my wedding. Me. I should not have been there. What was I doing? Oh, something they put in that KFC chicken out here. Oh, what was that, man? But there is a way. I'm divorced, you know, and I was like, well, sometimes things don't work out. You got to move on. No. My parents would live till death do you part. My dad did. My brother's married 30-something years. My sister, I got friends married, so I know marriage works. You know, God created it, but sometimes it don't work. But then somebody told me this, like, well, you know, Horace, God hates divorce. I was like, oh, he not just dislike it, he hates it. Man, I love the Lord. He hates divorce. I was like, I ain't divorced no more. I'm unmarried. How about that? You know, you put something in the freezer, then you unthaw it. Ladies, you get your hair braided and you unbraid it. Well, I'm unmarried. Won't he do it? He'll make a way. You gotta be creative. If you don't like your job, enjoy the ride to work. Hey, get some music you like. You be like, I'm gonna be late, I gotta hear that chorus again. You don't like where you live at? Act like you visited. Keep your coat on and talk junk. Be like, I'll see y'all later, I'm about to go home. Be like, you live here, go through them dishes. If you don't like your kids, act like you babysitting. I'll be glad when your mama get back. But you my mama, can't I have a dream? Dr. King had one. Let's just learn to be optimistic. Change your perspective. Look at the bright side. You gotta do that sometimes. Change your perspective if you can't change your position. And that actually will change your position. And in the words of my father, Aaron Sanders, who's married to my mom, Minnie Sanders, like I said, I get him honor because a lot of people don't honor dads now. I'm making sure I honor my dad. He didn't have his dad around. He was an amazing father. I try to be a good father to my children. And that's really the root and the foundation, I think, of our families. I even tell my mama, I love daddy a little more than you. She's like, what? What you talking about you love your daddy more than me? I was like, cuz, he picked you. She was like, oh, that's kind of cute. I was like, yeah, I get my game from my daddy. But in the words of my father, something he's always said in words that you can live by. Please remember in life, no matter where you go, that's where you'll be. It's funny to me. HB, baby. Love y'all, Detroit.
Oh my God, I should have just brought people in here and had them like hanging out here in this lobby area outside of the Voting Matters booth. Oh my God, Horace, you are funny. So I got Horace H.B. Sanders and Crystal P. up in here making sure that you understand how brilliant and funny that we are. Detroit literally does everything better than everybody else. We got more talent on one street than some cities have in their whole borders, and that includes comedy. So I'm all about making sure that you know it's as important as music, as dance, as theater. But anyway, so I promised to try and get people to watch this, and it was enough with the comedians. It was enough to get these two fabulous folks here, but I said I would do a comedy set. I told my grandson, Avi's gonna do some comedy. He said, but Avi, you don't know any jokes. I said, well, yeah, I know some jokes. I know how to sing. There's humor in everything. So, you know, I'll just do what everybody else does and just talk a little bit, and some of it might be funny. I said, that sounds like a bad plan. But anyway, so I recently had a colonoscopy, and this is not one of those conversations where you're gonna get TMI. But I will say, if they can come up with a vaccine for COVID, they ought to come up with a better prep for a colonoscopy. That's all I can tell you. I lost 2 pounds. And when I got home, I ate a steak and a piece of pie and put the 2 pounds back on, so we're even. But talking about losing things, you know, I'm trying to lose weight all the time. Crystal P was talking about how she must lose. She looks fabulous. She is a gorgeous woman. I mean, top to bottom. And I have tried to lose some of the bottom, but you know, that's a whole thing because I put on the COVID 30. But I lose everything. I lost glasses, keys, a cup of tea that I was drinking in my own house. And I found this information about losing something. You can never lose a homing pigeon. If your homing pigeon doesn't come back, what you've lost is a pigeon. That was a good lesson for me. I told that joke to my grandmother. My grandmother's a funny one, 4 feet high, barely 4 feet. And she only laughed when stuff was funny. And I told her that joke about the pigeon. She didn't laugh. She said, who do you know who owns pigeons? I said, well, we don't have pigeons, you know. She said, we have chickens. We also had a pet duck named Princess. That was my pet. She used to wait for me when I came home from school. She would walk out to the curb so I could pet her neck, and then she would walk back. I had spaghetti for Christmas dinner that year while everybody else ate in the dining room. Princess. My family was from North Carolina. I grew up in North Carolina. 10,000 people there in my little hometown, 10,000 people there now. And every week, my grandmother would turn on this one show, and we'd all sit at her feet. All the kids would sit at her feet and watch this show. It was called The Wild Wild West. And I'm telling you, it was amazing. It was this white guy in these tight pants with his comedic sort of partner, and they would try to solve crimes. And every week, they were in some situation where they were about to get killed. Every week. And we were like, oh my God, he's gonna die. How is he gonna get out of this? Well, one week, my brother walked up, and he was standing there, and he said, I don't know what y'all worried about. They're not gonna kill him. He's gotta come back on next week. I said, man, brother, you just ruined the magic. He said, no, I just ruined the stupidity. When I told my grandson about how we find things, you know, humor in every day, I said you can find it in commercials. A long time ago, there was this woman named Nancy Reagan who was married to the president, and she said, just say no to drugs. But then I realized if I'm talking to my drugs, I had already said yes. And you can also find humor in cartoons, you know, like remember the Jetsons, a Space Age Family? Even in reruns for you younger folks, I love the Jetsons, but I saw them in reruns too. Well, there were no black people in the 22nd century or whenever they were living, so it made me wonder, what would you call the Jetsons if they were black? Well, you call them the Jetsons, you friggin' racist. But anyway, a 5-year-old African-American boy wanted to see what it was like to be white, so he covered himself in sugar and whipped cream. It made me hungry just thinking about this Joe Crystal P, but you know, I went with it. And he went up to his mom and he said, "Look, Mama, I'm a white boy now." And she spanked him. He went to his father and said, "Look, Pops, I'm a white boy now." And he took off his belt and he spanked him. Finally, he went to his grandmother and said, "Grandma, I'm a white boy now." She spanked him and said, "How does it feel to be white now?" He said, "I've been white for 5 minutes and I already hate black people." And then there's always quick jokes, you know, like what's green and fuzzy, and if it fell out of a tree on you, it would kill you. A pool table. That was my grandson. And where do you find a cow with no legs? Right where you left it. And you never criticize someone until you have walked a mile in their shoes. That way, when you criticize them, you'll be a mile away and you got their shoes. And there's also humor in daily activities. Like as a teenager, I was a horrible driver. My grandfather, you know, was a horrible driver, and it was sort of hereditary. But I want to die peacefully in my sleep, like my grandfather did, not screaming in terror like the passengers in his car. And then there's always humor in the classroom, like this encounter. The teacher said, "Kids, what does the chicken give you?" And the student said, "Meat or eggs." And the teacher said, "Very good. Now what does the pig give you?" And they said, "Bacon." She said, "Great. What does the fat cow give you?" And they said, "Homework." Well, the time my brother was in class and the teacher was teaching about self-esteem and feeling good about yourself. And she said, "Now class, anyone who thinks they're dumb, I want you to stand up right now." And nobody stood up, but my brother finally stood up. And she said, "Donnie, do you really think you're dumb?" He said, "No, ma'am, I just didn't want you standing up there by yourself." All right, that's my time. Thank you so much. The last time I did stand-up comedy was for a benefit. We were raising money. And the first thing I said to people was, ladies and gentlemen, Denzel Washington is not here. But you had Crystal P, and you had Horace H.B. Sanders, and you had your Detroit ace, that's arts, culture, and entrepreneurship, or whatever E makes you give money, to make sure that you are supporting the arts. And one of those things that we want to do sometime in the next year is to have a comedy club. So there's some place for our folks to literally hone their craft, do their craft, and be genius without having to go to LA or any place, or Alba, Michigan. Thank you so much, and be sure and stay tuned for our next round of programming. We're going to be showing everything that we showed all week. We had stuff every day, from the mayor interviewing Alice Randall on Monday night to this amazing dance, history of black dance that Deborah White Hunt did. We're going to put all that programming on Channel 22 where you can see it again because it was so nice. We're going to give it to you twice. And we end on Sunday with amazing choirs and symphonic music and the opera and our youth arts. So thank you so much for following us and for caring about being undefeated, because we will be undefeated and we will get on the other side of COVID. I'm Rochelle Riley, and good night.